Hello, pup parents, and welcome to today's episode of Dogs with Devin. My name is Devin. I'm stoked to talk to you today about tips to keep your dog cool. Cool in the sense of not hot, and also KEWL, keeping your dog cool. No, more so just keeping your dog COOL when it's hot outside. If you didn't know, it's summer and it's hot. Probably, depending on where you live. It's hot here, and my dog's already starting to kind of slow down and show the signs of it being a little bit hotter. So I thought, what better time to talk about 7, yes, count them, 7 ways to keep your dog cool this summer or next summer, even any summer, anytime it's hot, anytime this is going to help your dog. Number 1, stay hydrated. It sounds simple, but it's super underutilized because a lot of pup parents think, I'm thirsty, but maybe my dog's not, or, oh, I have been outside for an hour and I'm not that thirsty yet. In reality, dogs probably get thirstier quicker than we do, especially because they can't really sweat like we can. Their just bodies work different. They're dogs, and so they need a lot of water. Make sure they stay hydrated. A general rule of thumb is that you should give your dog anywhere from about a ½ ounce to 1 ounce of water per pound of body weight. So if you have a 50-pound dog, they should be drinking anywhere between 25 and 50 ounces of water per day, but probably more in the summer. There's factors, depending on if they're overweight or if they're older or a puppy or whatever it might be. They might need more or less, but keep your dog hydrated, especially on hot days. They're definitely going to need more because it's hotter, just like you and I. So that's tip number 1, or hack number 1, whatever you want to call it, is keep your dog hydrated at all times. Even if you don't think they need water, make them take water breaks. They're just like kids, right? Like they think they can just go and play for forever, but you gotta make them slow down and drink some water. So that's tip number 1. Number 2, to keep your dog cool, is to take frequent breaks. And this goes along with staying hydrated. A lot of times our dogs, they want to just like kind of, at least my dogs, they want to put on this like face or persona that like they're never tired and that everything is okay and they can just play for forever, because I feel like they don't want to let me down or something. But it's important to not force, but like make our dogs take breaks. If you're outside on a walk, take a break every 15-20 minutes, depending on how hot it is, right, and the time of the day. If you're doing something more rigorous like swimming or hiking or going for a jog, you want to probably take a break every 10 minutes or so. When you take these breaks, let your dog just rest, give them some water, give them a treat, snack, whatever it might be, and also just check them over, like make sure there's nothing stuck in their paws, make sure that they're feeling fine, all that good stuff. Make sure there's nothing stuck in their fur, like a, I don't know, tick or something bad. I don't know. Just check them out. Make sure they're all right every 10 minutes, 20 minutes or so. Give them a break. That way they'll stay cooled down and stay hydrated as you're giving them those breaks. Tip number 3 is to use an elevated or cooling bed. If you haven't seen these, they're kind of like mini dog hammocks, but they're not like strung between trees, because how would your dog get in that? They're just like an elevated, almost little cot looking thing, and what it does is it keeps your dog off of the ground, and so it just kind of lets some cool breeze come through, and it's just a little bit cooler than them laying on like a fabric bed or on the carpet or something. You can use these inside or outside, or the cooling pads. There's like specific cooling pads that are made of special types of fabric, or some of them have water in them, or they're just kind of like a cooling fabric or material for your dog to help cool them down, especially on those hot days. And if your dog spends a lot of time outside, I would definitely give them that option of an elevated bed, just because it'll be a lot cooler than them, laying on the concrete or laying on the grass or whatever it might be. So that's option tip number 3, idea number 3 to keep your dog cool, is to give them an elevated or cooling bed. Tip number 4 is one of my favorites, is to give them frozen treats and or toys. So there's a lot of kind of frozen treat options. You can take normal treats and freeze them. Sometimes that'll be good, sometimes it'll be weird. But also like freezing a Kong, filling a Kong with like a dehydrated food or yogurt or applesauce or peanut butter or something, and then freezing it for like overnight basically, and then giving it to your dog at the hottest part of the day. It's a nice little cool snack, just like we like ice cream. It's like a doggy ice cream. You can also do the same thing with there's like popsicles. I'll have a link in for a recipe for a popsicle made of carrots and apples and water. Super healthy. Also, it's nice for your dog. Gives them a cool little treat. You can also there's specific toys that you can get that are made to be like frozen and more kind of soft on their mouths and cools them down, or you can just take normal toys depending on what the toy is and freeze it. It's just kind of a different interesting little thing for your dog. So that's idea number 4, is to use frozen treats, frozen foods, frozen Kongs, whatever it might be that you might be, especially fruits and veggies. My dogs, you can give them like frozen watermelon, frozen strawberries, different things like that that are going to be tasty and healthy for them. And it's going to give them some, additional water, especially things like watermelon. It's made of water basically, right? So those types of things can help your dog stay cool. Tip number 5 is to provide enough shade. This is super underrated because a lot of people who, keep their dogs outside, or if they like take their dog to the park and they're having a grand old time, just getting your dog into the shade is going to be nice. It's going to help them just get out of that, sun that's beating down on them, especially if you leave your dog outside for extended periods of time. Make sure that they have a shaded area, whether it's a tree naturally, or you have a specific umbrella or like a canopy or an overhang, or the ability for them to come inside potentially is nice for a lot of dogs if when they're at home alone for however long. Just giving them an option somewhere to have some shade, that they it's going to be cooler, the ground where the shade is going to be cooler, that type of thing, just to keep make it so they're not having to just sit in the sun all day long, because that's rough. Think about if you had to do that for yourself, that'd be terrible. So don't do that for your dog, because they're family. Come on. Tip number 6 is to go swimming. Yes, some of you might be thinking, oh my gosh, my dog would hate the water, and that might be true, but some dogs love it. Like my 2 labs, they love swimming. They love the water. You can get creative too. If you don't have a pool, or you don't have access to like a lake or a stream or a beach or something, they make doggy pools. You can use like a kiddie pool. You can even just kind of use the hose a little bit to get your dog wet. Make sure that you're not just spraying them in the face or something. But for a lot of dogs, it's a nice activity to cool them down. And just like for you and I, it's a fun summer activity. And especially, there's a lot of health advantages of swimming. If your dog has any joint issues, actual swimming, not just being in water, right? But like physically swimming is a lot easier on their joints than, say running or hiking or playing fetch, those types of things. So it's a great option in that regard as well for dogs with joint problems. Tip number 7 is to exercise at cooler times of the day. Pretty self-explanatory, but the more you can do to, limit your dog's time of just being outside during the hottest parts of the day, just like you and I. So, if your dog should be getting plenty of exercise each day, they should be getting, rigorous activity to mentally, physically give them that exercise. Make sure that you try and do it in the mornings before the sun really comes up and it gets hot, or in the evenings once the sun's going down, just to limit their exposure to, the direct sunlight and being out there for too long. So those are 7 tips. I'm going to read through them again real quick just so you can remember. If you only listen to part of it, listen to this. Number 1, stay hydrated. Number 2, take frequent breaks to cool down. Number 3, use an elevated or cooling bed. Number 4, give frozen treats and toys. Number 5, provide shade outside. Number 6, go swimming or anything water related. And number 7, exercise at cooler times of the day. If you do these things, you're going to help your dog avoid heat stroke or any type of dehydration. I won't go too far into that. I'll link to an article that you can read a little bit more about the signs of dehydration or heat stroke, but a lot of it is going to be, really excessive panting, dry mouth, dry eyes, dry nose. There might be dizziness, or they might be lethargic, those types of things. So really it is important to make sure your dog stays cool and stays hydrated, just because dehydration in dogs can be very, very serious. Just like in humans, it can cause blood issues, it can cause issues with the heart, all kinds of different things. So keep your dog cool out there. Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you have not already, please subscribe wherever you're listening, or if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe there. Really, go ahead and do it, because I put out dog content often. Dog tent, that doesn't sound good. We'll just say dog content, pup content, how to become a better pup parent. I put it out often. If you're listening on a podcast and you are subscribed, please leave a review. I do read those. And if you want to email me with questions, whether it's training related, food related, treats, how to be a better pup parent, whatever it might be, I'm happy to respond to you. Dogs with Devin, Devin, at gmail.com, and I will respond to you. I'm looking at you. I'm telling you right now, I will respond. But thanks again for watching. Keep your dogs cool out there. Hopefully you have a great summer with your dogs. You have lots of fun activities planned. And above all, just go out and love your dog.